So it's a quick one today, and basically the question is, who is the biggest buyer of all stocks currently in the market? Is it the government? Is it Vanguard? Is it the hedge funds? No, it's the companies themselves. It's share buybacks. Share buybacks is 50% of all purchases in the market at the moment, with the highest being at the moment, this last year, highest amount of share buybacks. Now, please remember, share buybacks were illegal up till 1981 in the UK, 1982 in America, and that is the exact peak of gold. Gold never ever beat its 1981 peak. Stocks were never ever as low as it was in 1981. It was like the PE ratio of 5 to 6. It was ridiculously cheap. And from then on, it's basically just been booming. We're now up to like 20, 25, I think we're on 30 average PE ratio, which is insane, right? That's an average. And this is where we are. The allowance of companies to buy back their own shares and therefore inflate their own shares and therefore legalize pump and dump. Because what is a pump and dump? Pump and dump is me buying my own shares to increase the price so people think, oh wow, this stock is really good, but they're making losses. Doesn't matter. Look, the stock's going up. Oh, okay, wow, well, we'll all buy the stock then. That's a pump and dump, except the companies don't sell the shares in the end. They just be happy that it goes up because then the CEO leaves, he sells his options, he gets loads of money. Next CEO comes in, it goes up even more, he sells his shares, gets even more. The entire point, and the investors want it to happen, and the big institutional investors want them to buy back their own shares. Everyone is embedded in this Ponzi scheme of buy back your own shares. Investment in machinery, oh no, we have to be very tight about that. Giving money to workers, are you insane? That's not going to happen. Buy back your own shares, hell yeah, do 70% of that. That's what's happened in the corporate sector. Now, in the financial sector, the government sector, as we know, we're on negative yields, the most negative yields in history, 6.1% officially. Using other stats, it's about 7.8% negative interest, which means if you buy a US Treasury, a one-day US Treasury, which is at 0.1%, but inflation is at 6.2%, their official statistic, you are losing 6.1%, right? On a one-year basis, it's also 0.2, 0.3. You're losing nothing. On a 10-year basis, you're at 1.5, so your negative yield of 4.5%. Basically, the most negative you could ever be. Anytime you buy any of these things, you lose money. Immediately. Imagine you buy something and immediately you've lost 6%. That's what happens with all these things. So why would anyone buy it? Obviously no one wants to buy it, and no one is buying it. No one's stupid to buy this rubbish, except for the government. But you have to understand, the Fed, but you have to understand the Fed, then the government, has to pay them the 0.8, it might just be 0.1%, might just be 1.5% on the 10-year Treasury, but that's still 1.5%. And do you know how much that amounts to? So currently the US debt is $3 trillion. $3 trillion. The interest payments on that is $300 billion. Every year they have to pay $300 billion on that $3 trillion of debt. Every single year, $300 billion. Interest. Just the interest, not the amount, just the interest. So, using that 300 billion, that's a lot of money. Now, do you want to give it to investors or give it to the Fed? Well, it doesn't matter. I have to give it to Fed, investors. Well, that's where you're wrong, because they want to give it to the Fed. They want the Fed to buy all of it. The reason is, who does the Fed give its profits to? The Fed just basically bought this treasury from the government that offers 1.5% on a 10-year yield, and it's going to get 1.5% from the government, has to pay it back, right? And now it gets all this money. What does it do with it? So the conspiracy theorists, people think it goes to the Rothschilds or some stupid, the JP Morgans, or no, they give it back to the government in the TGA, in the Treasury General account. that interest gets paid straight to the government bank. This is how insane it is. So the interest the government pays, the 300 billion a year, gets given back to it every single year because the Fed can't make any money. So the government's entire purpose, it's really borrowing at 0% when the Fed buys the debt. And so they don't care if it goes down and down and down and down to zero. That's why in Europe you've got negative interest rates even, because it doesn't even matter. They are paying, no one's obviously buying those stupid treasuries on negative. Who would do that? Who would actually lose money? But they don't care because the government gets all that money. When negative, they don't. The government gets it anyway, so they don't even have to care about it. But I'm saying, even on 0.1%, they get given back to it. Even on the 2%, when the Fed buys it, when the central bank buys it, they give it straight back to the government. In the UK, they actually, that's what they did. It was actually very clear in the Financial Times. The government paid back 150 billion pounds of debt, and the Bank of England actually wrote off the entire debt. The second they gave it back, this is not interest. This was the actual treasuries. They just cancelled it. They just cancelled it and gave it back to the government. So it's a Ponzi. It's not Ponzi scheme. How do I say it? It's a farce. It's a lie. It's a scam. Yeah, it's a scam. It's my right hand paying my left hand. Can that actually happen? Can my right hand pay my left hand? Is my right pocket is my left pocket? It's not real, guys. They're literally just doing this. They're just printing money. And there's a Fed, Biden, thing. They're just printing money and giving it out into the economy. That's all that's happening. Okay? That's all that's happening now. There's no interest on it. They don't care about investors. The companies couldn't care less. They're buying back their own shares to inflate the stock prices, so the stocks will always go up. Both those sectors are giant scams, basically. Illegal, remember, before 1981, and the stock markets had gone down to zero because they were worthless, because they were never going to earn so much money as they predicted. And the government as well, also no one was buying their treasuries because the governments are bankrupt and will never pay them back, ever. Right? They'll just type it up and then I'm going to lose money because normally it'll go down, so I won't buy it. So both are scams, and that's it. They're both scams. But we'll keep going because obviously both of them, in view, they look like it's still going. In reality, no one's there behind the scene. It's just the same people. It's the right hand and the left hand. That's the only thing happening here.